The knock came just after midnight, sharp and unexpected, slicing through the fragile silence of the apartment like a blade. Daniel Carter froze in the narrow kitchen, his hands still wet from washing a single cup he hadn't even used, his heart instantly racing with the familiar fear that something bad had happened. Single fathers learn to fear the night knocks, especially when life has already taken so much from them. For a split second, his mind jumped to his son's bedroom, to the soft rise and fall of 8-year-old Noah's chest, and then to the long list of ways the world had taught him not to hope for good surprises. When he finally opened the door and saw who stood there, exhaustion, shock, and a buried memory collided at once. It was his boss. The woman who signed his paychecks. The woman who barely knew his pain. The woman whose words would quietly change the shape of his life. Before we go deeper into this story, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances still existing in this world. And tell us in the comments where you are watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across places we may never see. Daniel had not planned for his life to become this small. Once, he had dreams that stretched beyond the skyline, dreams that included a warm home, laughter echoing down hallways, and a future that felt steady. But life doesn't always ask for permission before it breaks you. After his wife Emily passed away suddenly from an undiagnosed condition, the world became quieter, heavier, and unbearably real. There were days Daniel felt as though he was walking through fog, moving only because Noah needed breakfast, school lunches, and clean clothes. Love kept him standing, but exhaustion kept him bending. He took the first job he could find, an administrative position at a large firm run by a woman known for her sharp mind and even sharper standards, Victoria Hale. Victoria was respected, feared, and admired in equal measure. She walked through office halls like time itself followed her schedule, her presence commanding silence and productivity. To Daniel, she was simply the person who didn't notice him, and in many ways, that felt safer. He came early, left late, and never asked for favors. He kept a picture of Noah hidden inside his wallet because even that felt like too much vulnerability. Every late-night project he completed came at the cost of reading one less bedtime story, and every early morning meeting stole another hour of sleep, but he convinced himself it was the price of survival. The night before the knock had been brutal. Noah had woken up from a nightmare, calling out for a mother who would never answer again, and Daniel had held him until sunrise, whispering reassurances he barely believed himself. He arrived at work tired, distracted, and painfully human. Somewhere between spreadsheets and urgent emails, he forgot something small, something insignificant, or so he thought. He left the office with apologies in his eyes and guilt in his chest, never imagining that mistake would follow him home. Victoria had not intended to knock on Daniel's door that night. She had driven aimlessly for nearly an hour, her mind louder than the engine beneath her. Despite her success, or perhaps because of it, her own life felt hollow. She had climbed every ladder placed in front of her but had no one waiting at the top. That evening, when she discovered the forgotten document Daniel had carefully prepared, something tugged at her. His handwriting in the margins revealed diligence, care, and something strangely personal. It bothered her that someone so quiet carried that much responsibility unnoticed. Standing in that dim hallway, seeing the worn door and the tired eyes that opened it, Victoria realized how little she truly knew about the people who kept her world running. The apartment was small but clean, filled with signs of a child's presence, drawings taped to the wall, shoes neatly aligned, and the faint smell of warm laundry. Daniel's embarrassment was palpable. He expected disappointment, maybe even consequences. What he wasn't prepared for was being truly seen. Over the next few days, things began to shift in ways Daniel didn't trust at first. Victoria started asking questions at work, not the sharp interrogations she was known for, but quiet inquiries about schedules and workloads. Daniel found himself being allowed to leave early on certain days, his overtime cut back without penalty. He didn't celebrate. Life had taught him that good things often came with hidden costs. Still, Noah noticed. He noticed his father laughing more easily, cooking dinner without rushing, sitting beside him during homework instead of glancing at the clock every 5 minutes. The real challenge wasn't the workload or the grief, though those were heavy enough. The hardest part was Daniel's belief that he did not deserve relief. That he should suffer quietly because love had already failed him once. Change frightened him more than exhaustion ever did. But slowly, consistently, Victoria showed up in ways that required nothing in return. She approved Daniel for a remote day each week, arranged emergency childcare assistance through company resources he never knew existed, and, most importantly, treated him with dignity rather than pity. As weeks passed, Daniel learned pieces of her story too. Victoria had grown up believing strength meant solitude, that needing no one was the ultimate success. Watching Daniel juggle loss and love with quiet resilience cracked something open inside her. His devotion to Noah was not loud or dramatic, but it was relentless, the kind that rebuilds broken worlds brick by brick. It reminded her of what she had sacrificed in pursuit of power and control. The turning point came on a cold evening when Noah fell ill, his small body burning with fever. Daniel stayed awake through the night, fear gripping him tighter than sleep ever could. The next morning, he sent a message explaining his absence, certain it would test whatever fragile understanding existed. Instead, Victoria showed up again, this time with practical solutions and genuine concern. She arranged flexibility without hesitation, proving that compassion didn't weaken leadership, it strengthened it. Months later, Daniel stood in the same kitchen where fear once lived, watching Noah laugh as he built a model airplane on the table. Life wasn't perfect, but it was fuller. He had moved out of survival mode and into something softer, something hopeful. Victoria, too, had changed. Her leadership style evolved, her company culture shifted, and people noticed. Productivity improved, but more importantly, so did morale. Kindness had quietly redefined success. Just before the ending, leave a comment sharing what this story made you feel, because your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today.